Shalom, shalom. Welcome to my kitchen. Today is Tuesday, Monday. Today is Monday, September 27th. Yes, September 27th. I have the hardest time with the dates, don't I? So what am I making in my kitchen today? Besides Kelsey's veggie mac and cheese, I'm also going to be making some cough syrup. I had a really bad case of bronchitis one year. Oh my gosh, over 20 years ago. And so my first foray into checking out the different properties of herbs, aside from the things that my grandma taught me that I seem to retain, and my mom, but that was one of the things that I remember my grandma telling me about was the Mullein plant, which is really good for coughs, particularly as an expectorant, which means that it makes your coughs more productive. It actually helps get the stuff out. But Mullein is not just good for that. It's good for coughs, including whooping cough. It helps with that. It's used for tuberculosis, bronchitis, hoarseness, pneumonia, pretty much anything bronchial. It will help with that. Anything having to do with the lungs, it will help with that. It also has been shown in studies to help with earaches. So, in a combination with St. John's wort and a couple other things. It is antiviral, so it helps with colds. It also helps with flus. It also helps, it's antifungal. It helps with sore throats. And so that is one of the ingredients. That's the main ingredient that's going to go in my cough syrup. The second ingredient is going to be, let me show you. So this is the Mullein. This is just the leaves. I'm out of the flowers. Flowers have the most potent medicine in, but I'm out. And you've got to be careful and make sure you do not get the seeds. Seeds are the only thing of the Mullein plant that are not usable. The seeds can cause paralysis, so just don't use those. Don't use seeds. So I'm going to use the leaves and the root. I'm going to use some slippery elm. Now, slippery elm is beneficial because it helps soothe the throat. It's good for coughs, sore throats, diarrhea, even stomach distress. It can help with that. Also helps with anything bronchial, particularly having to do with this is also used for people who have issues with bowel movements, not being able to move. It helps move things along. But I would not get this kind. I would get the powdered. And don't try to powder this in your blender. Don't ask me how I know. So the other thing is juniper berries. Now, just to let you know, juniper berries and Mullein are both used as flavoring in alcohol. So, just to let you know, people do consume it. It's not a new thing. It's not some wild Indian, American Indian thing, although it is. That's where I learned it from my Native American ancestors. So, juniper berries is what I'm going to use to actually add a little bit of a sweet flavor to it, kind of a fruity flavor. But these are not just for flavoring. These are anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antifungal, antibiotic, anti-gas and bloating. It helps with UTI infections, and it also can increase the need to urinate. So if you're on a diuretic, stay away from this. It will increase the need to urinate. So it's not a diuretic, but it increases the need to urinate. I don't know the mechanism of action, but yeah. So you can look into that yourself if you want to. Perfectly safe to use. So these are my ingredients in my syrup. Also, so the first thing I'm going to do is make a tea. the water and just boil it. And because I'm using a root, I need to boil it for about a half an hour. For just the tea, it would only be like 10 to 20 minutes. For just the leaves and this is also a bark. For the leaves and the berries, it'd only be 10 to 20 minutes. But because I'm using bark and roots, which are harder constituents, I'm going to need to boil these for at least a half an hour with the lid on, because the steam, you don't want the constituents to escape in the steam. So that is what I'm going to do. And the first thing I'm going to start with is half a gallon of clean water. And by clean, I mean filtered. You do not want chloride, chlorine, fluoride, fluorine, or any derivative thereof in your medicine, your cough syrup. You don't, okay? So 1 gallon, half gallon of water goes in my pot. And now I'm going to use some slippery herb. By the way, you can get these, where I get most of mine is Star West Botanicals, but there's other places, Mountain Rose Herbs or Rose Mountain or something like that. So I'm going to use 1 cup of the slippery elm. And I have a half a cup measuring cup right here. And it's not going to come out. It has a little bit of a maple syrup smell. The slippery elm does. And it is very much like cotton. Oop, oop, get in there. I just cleaned the floor, of course. So it's a little bit like cotton. Don't worry, we're going to strain this out. But you also have the exact same thing with the mullein. With the roots, they're very, very fibrous. Really hard to measure this, but yeah, I'm just kind of stuffing it in there until it's full. Strained that way. For the mullein root, if I had the flowers, I would use the same amount of flowers as I'm using for the root, which is 2 tablespoons. I wish I had more flowers. When we get more property, I'm definitely... Hold on, Kelsey's water's boiling. When we have more property, I'm definitely going to make sure that there is mullein growing on there somewhere. Because I do have the seeds. I just don't really have anywhere to plant them here. So, sorry, I'm also making Kelsey's lunch right now. So. No, stay. All right. So we got that. We've got the slippery elm. For the juniper berry, they're a little similar to elderberries. And I just ate one. There's a slight bitterness. And so what I'm going to do is use half a cup of these. So they're very much like elderberries, only slightly bigger. And they come from the juniper tree, which also has some other health benefits if you want to look into that. And the pistol resistance, the herb that started my fascination with using herbs instead of pharmaceutical chemicals. And I would prefer to use the whole plant for the mullein, except, minus the seeds. I would prefer to use the whole plant, but yeah, I don't have the flowers. So we will use the leaves. And for this, we're going to use 1.5 cups of mullein. Or thereabouts. You can see it's kind of fluffy, the mullein, which I dehydrated and put in a blender to blend it up a little bit. And I do have it really packed in here tight. We make Mullein tea a lot also in the wintertime. No, we've not gotten sick, except for some kind of upper respiratory viral thing earlier this year. We all come down with that. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't pleasant, but it wasn't bad. But so that's the first time we've gotten sick in years. But all right, so we have our herbs in here, and let me just show you. So the herbs are in the pot. So I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to get this water boiling. First, I need to find something to stir it with. The juniper berries have a lot of other health benefits too. If you want to look into that, it supposedly helps with diabetes. A couple other things I can't recall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this to a boil and put the lid on it so the good stuff doesn't evaporate into the air. But I'm still trying to get all the mullein wet. The slippery elm is really interesting. I might actually... Okay, so we're going to use a gallon of water because the slippery elm is really making this viscous. Because what it does very much the same thing that chia seeds do. It will create a gelatinous thing. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to add some more water. So this is the first time that I've used, or the first time I have used slippery elm in the concoction. But I figured with the cough syrup, you have the mullein to help get the, as an expectorant to help make your coughs more productive. But there's nothing to soothe the, well, it does soothe the throat a little bit, but the slippery elm is really going to help with the throat soothing. Because it does if you drink a glass of tea with the slippery elm. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to add more water. It's been a while since I made this because you do a batch and it's going to last a while. Unless you have like little kids that are always getting sick. And this is safe to use for little kids. I would give, and I'm not a doctor or a practitioner or anything like that, or a practitioner. This is just me, and this is what I would do for my daughter. I would give her a teaspoon every 4 hours, like you would a typical cough syrup. It doesn't take a lot. You do have to be careful in little children, but she's not little. So I don't feel comfortable telling you how much to use, so you have to use your best judgment on that. Because, you know, like I said, this is a natural herbal medicinal, but it's not a pharmaceutical, and I'm not a doctor or a pharmacist, so I can't tell you how much to use. But I'm also not making a profit off it either. One thing you need to know when dosing is based off of weight, weight and age. But like I said, if you dose your children, then you know you need to decide how much to use. I'm not going to tell you how much to use. For myself, as an adult, I would use about a tablespoon, and I'll tell you that I would use about a tablespoon every 4 to 6 hours, however often I need it. I could have used this at the beginning of the year, earlier in the year when we had that viral thing. It would have been very nice to be able to have the coughs be more productive and to soothe the throat. but I didn't have it, so. Alright, I will be back when this is boiling and ready to strain. Okay, just to give it an update, I ended up only putting another quart of water in here, so it's 3/4 of a gallon, half a gallon and a quart. So yeah, that's what I ended up putting in here for the water, just to kind of thin out the slippery elm. So okay, we've got a really nice rolling boil going on, and I have set the timer for 30 minutes. It's been a minute already, so we will come back when it's done. So now we have the tedious process of straining all this gelatinous syrup right through this bag. Now, there are some little bits, so that's why I did not just use this wire mesh strainer. I'm using a cloth. So this is going to take a while. And in the meantime, we wait. Alright, so I just strained the bag out and squeezed it out like you would a nut milk. I milked the bag. And as you can see, it's has a little bit of a mucilage. Not a lot, but a little bit. And that's what's going to soothe our throats. Okay, so now I need to figure out how much liquid this is. So that is just almost 4 cups. It's a cup shy, so I'm going to add that. Okay, we now have 8 cups of liquid here. So we need to add our ingredients. So to make a syrup, it's 1 to 1. So I'm going to need 8 cups of sugar. So we need 8 tablespoons of lemon juice. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring this back up to a boil. Medium heat. Okay, because 8 cups is 2 batches, what I'm going to do is go ahead and add some fruit pectin in and let it warm up with the water, or come to a boil with the water, and then we'll add our 8 cups of sugar. Now the first syrup that I made, I did not can. I just made like 1 batch, not even a batch, it was like a partial batch, and just made enough to stick in the refrigerator. It made 2 pints. It wasn't a lot, but it was just enough to stick in the refrigerator, and it lasted in the refrigerator, well, until I used it up, and that was about 3 years. Never molded, never turned bad, never got a bad smell, never got a bad look. It looked the same. So yeah, I know this will be safe canning because of that, because of the past ones that I've experienced made. So right now I'm just stirring up the I am stirring up the pectin into the tea. And I'm going to bring it to a boil. And when it boils, I'm going to dump the sugar in, and then I'm going to bring it back to a rolling boil for 1 minute, and then I'm going to jar it up, and just like the other syrups, I'm going to process it for 10 minutes. Well, the lemon also plays another role, because lemon is also very soothing to your throat. So it's going to play another role in this syrup. So it's not just in there to help it extend its shelf life, but also to help your throat and flavor, because lemons are really good. And Todd was like, "Why are you canning syrup?" It's like, well, we wished we had some when we were sick earlier this year. So this way I'll have it on hand and not be in here sick trying to make some. Because I tell you what, it kicked my butt. Me more so than Todd and Kelsey. I mean, Kelsey was like, and she was done. She was over it. She was the last one to get it though, too. Todd got it first, and he was just down for a couple days. Really not feeling well, but it hit me really hard, especially in the bronchial areas. Probably where I smoked for so many years. So y'all don't smoke, okay? If you're smoking now, quit. Your lungs will thank you for it. So you've seen me do this with the other syrup videos, so I'm not going to put you through all that. I will come back when it's done and canned and already water bathed. So you've already seen me do this, so it's not news to you. Okay, now yesterday I made some syrup that was Mullein. It's a cough syrup that was it had mullein, slippery elm, and juniper berries. So it had those ingredients in it, and I was thinking syrup for the peaches. So I did a 1-to-1 sugar-water ratio. That's not right to make a syrup. So they canned, and it's good, but I'm going to turn this. I'm just going to use this as a tea. So I'll just put a couple tablespoons into a glass, and then pour some hot water over it. Good to go. So I mean, this is fine. It's not what I wanted, but it'll work. And I will do another video, which will follow this, of me making this the right way. That's all I wanted to say. Yahuah bless you and keep you and give you shalom. Until next time. Yah bless.